Paul Larsen. I'm the race skipper on board Allegra. We've just done a lap of the Irish Sea, went round the Fastnet Rock, and we've just defended our Mokra title and had a very successful race. So very tired and ecstatic crew, and boss.
And in through that first night,
we knew. I said in the briefing to all the crew that we've had enough practice on this boat. We know what it's capable of. We just completed a very similar round Gotland race, 30 to 40 knots, long beat to the southern end of Gotland, and I said this is our race to take. Like it's our conditions. It's a big boat, and it should be able to punch hard in those conditions. So we're going to go out. We're going to overpress the sail configurations. 30 tons bogs down very quickly if you're not pushing it. It's also quite forgiving to being over canvas. If you twist the sails off so the boat does not make all the crew edgy by leaping off waves or slowing down, if you luff up too much and stopping and bearing away and get into that mode, you can just put the bow at about 45-50 degrees to the wind, twist it off, and she just keeps punching through. So they were the modes we went into. I think we were one of the, there weren't many boats out there with full rig off that start line, but we went full beams. The hard bit was then going to be how do we get rid of, if we get out there and it starts getting 30 knots, you've got a Solent that you have to furl away, and you've got a full main, which to do a bear away could be a big dramatic thing in 30 knots with full main with other boats around you. But we were going so damn quick up there at that stage, I thought we had a chance of beating the mod out, which we actually managed to do. And so as we approached Hurst and it really started to ramp up, that's where we waited for a little lull, and I said to the guys, we got to get rid of the Solent in this lull. So when I slow the boat down to reduce the apparent, this is your window, get rid of it. And it just, the lull wasn't as much as we'd hoped for, and the furl didn't go as quickly as we wanted, and so the Solent took a flogging, and now you could put your head through that sail, and we thought that sail might not be coming out again. So a few curses. No, you never want to lose the race that early on. We knew we were going to need that sail later on. We always knew we were going to have a tough fight with Tosca. But for the first thing was getting through that night. It's a very interesting boat because it is a compromise boat. This is a cruising, or does have cruising aspirations and racing aspirations. And I think what you just saw there in the Fastnet race is that it can be raced very hard. And you know, we finished with all the fast boats. We're surrounded by the front of the Mokra fleet. Ramblers, 3 hours behind the mod. It's an impressive boat in that respect. It is 84 foot long. It's 30 tons, and there's times when you're bashing up wind in the conditions we had there that you love every one of those tons. It just helps this boat keep trucking through that sea state. And I remind everyone, if we think we're having a hard time, they're having it harder back there. We knew it was our race, our conditions, and if those conditions do come your way, then it's time to put the hammers down, and that's what we did. The sea state kept getting worse. There was one tack, the tack heading south was pretty much straight into it, and you just can't make the boat go fast no matter how much sail you have. You just start leaping and slamming and pounding. So you know, you keep checking to say, have we got a pot round the rudders? We just can't achieve anywhere near the polars. We've got everything up. And then you tack, and all of a sudden you're on the numbers again and going up the coast. Thankfully, it was mostly a port bias, you know, to getting out. And we actually sailed only a few tacks, and we managed to get down to Land's End. So
I say it's a high freeboard boat, but you're still getting some green water up.
Oh God, yeah. It all goes dark in here. When these waves come over, yeah, we get, you're just floating in that forward cockpit there. We had Ryan, who is the boat engineer on board. He was having to go down into the main beam, and he was literally diving his head underwater. This is the place with all the batteries and all the systems and all the drives, the electric drives and stuff. And he was just coming up and biting off a mouthful of foam to plug holes down there and going down. His life jacket burst open inside the beam. It was it was dramatic. I thought we were going to have a hot shower. I was telling everyone we're going to get around the rock and we're going to be swanning off downwind, and it was not that at all. It was a relentless, fast reach down. We spent a lot of it with full main, and fortunately the solent was okay. We got that out. When we got off Falmouth, that's when it was time. The conditions started to slow down. We'd survived the worst of it, and that was time to have a look to see if the solent was still good. So we turned around downwind briefly and rolled out the solent, and it wasn't pretty, but we pushed on with it, and that's what dragged us up, helped drag us up to the rock, and also afterwards. And then it was only gusting high 28s, but it was so dark you couldn't see anything. And we couldn't see what we were driving into, and it was very hard to find a combination that wasn't going to grab you. You always live in fear on all multi-hulls, and the more miles you do, I guess there comes a time when you wonder when or if you're going to be bitten, where you can push them hard, but there's a very small window of opportunity between there and being in a situation. And being a big boat, they're not little boats that you can catch like maybe a mod or a lighter boat that will spin a lot quicker or be more responsive. That situational awareness of where all that momentum gets out of control, you've got to catch it early. And we've seen recently in the Round the Island race where our friends on Coco went over, and you understand how that process happened. So we're all well briefed on that, and the sail combinations and the sea state, that's always in the back of my mind, and especially on that leg. It's my job to make sure we never get into that grey zone, so we always keep everyone really well briefed. You've got to remember that you're driving up there, people are trimming down in that pit over there and trimming on the winch down there. No one can see each other, so communications is very difficult. So everyone has to be fully briefed up on what's happening and who's on what responsibility and at what point to go. Because I always tell people, I'm always reminding them of that window. Everyone sits there on a winch and thinks, yeah, if this boat starts to go over, I'll ease the winch. And you go, no, you'll hang on to it because we're used to pushing it right to the edge. And once we get to that, you're no longer in a good position to do a nice ease. You've got a super loaded winch, and now you're starting to hang on to the boat yourself because you think it's going over, and that window's gone. So it's absolutely fine if everyone knows what's happening, is calling the gust. We've got head comm sets, and so we're briefing it, and if everyone's situationally aware, it's okay.
Just respecting the power.
You got to always respect it in the back of your mind, and it's and then you can push it. We don't have too many moments because, well, I think we're very aware.